if there's anything that you could do in the past, would you change anything at all?
I wouldn't, because every experience that I have ever been through really allowed me to know my personal power. It allowed me to, when there's so much chaos in the world and you can't deal with it, so you just put all the focus into yourself. That was basically my situation growing up. I was pretty a quiet kid. I would just observe people and just be in my own space. I was just detached from everybody else. But it didn't allow me to behave a certain way towards people. I always respected people growing up. So I wouldn't change anything from my past at all, because it's all for self-development. There's a reason why things happen, right?
Yeah.
And it happens because they're meant to teach you something. Well, they're lessons to me. But I believe, in every negative situation, there's always something in there positive that you could learn from.
All right, so this is Nicole. I never knew how to pronounce your last name. Lupercio?
What?
Lupercio.
Yes.
Lupercio?
Yes, that's
Okay.
how you pronounce it. Kinda.
So this is Nicole Lupercio.
Hi.
She's an old-time friend. Definitely someone I've interacted with for a very long time after high school. And so would you like to introduce yourself, or?
So,
It's alright. So, what is it like learning like psychology and being interested in those like things within our lifetime? What attracted you towards it?
Well, what really attracted me towards it was just through what I've been through in general in my life. I've been through a lot, and I've been in just mental conflict my whole entire life. And just learning psychology really allowed me to break through those mental challenges. And it allowed me to understand myself a lot more and to develop my own belief system, which once you understand yourself, it allows you to be more vocal and more confident.
And I think that's the reason I wanted to bring you onto the podcast, is because you bring a very unique perspective when it comes to how to deal with the difficulties. That's all right. It's okay. The difficulties and the obstacles that we face on a day-to-day basis. And we've had conversations prior, and they've definitely have been interesting, to the extent that I've learned something, and hopefully you've learned something from what I've said, and
Yes.
vice versa. And you uploaded 2 YouTube videos not that long ago. Would you maybe like to talk about what motivated you to create them, or to even start your YouTube channel in general?
Well, so what motivated me was my perspective. My perspective started everything.
Do you maybe want to like take just a little, bring the mic a little bit away from your face?
Oh, like that?
Just like a fist. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So through my perspective, my higher perspective, it allowed me to be more enlightened, to understand life circumstances. And it allowed me to be more happy with myself, and just simply love myself a lot more. So I figured my own perspective might help others. And that's why I uploaded those videos in the first place, because it's the intention of seeing if it might help someone change in a more positive way.
Yeah.
So that's why I did those videos. And I think I really care a lot about people, and I just want to show people their truest potential, because I found mine.
That's a very beautiful message. I think, and again, bring you onto the podcast because I know who you are, and I know well, I vaguely know what you stand for. We still have like things that we haven't told each other, just to, like, to keep to ourselves and our personal lives, and that's I think that's something that's led to us to have a distant to a reconnecting, and then just connecting and being friends, and just like enjoying what life has to offer. I see that you got a tattoo. What inspired you to get the butterfly tattoo?
Well, the butterfly tattoo, it's a lot of transformation in it.
Mm-hmm.
And transformation is really valuable to me because I believe someone could completely transform themselves. And that's really powerful, and it takes a lot of strength to do so.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are conditioned and stuck in their own ways, which is understandable, but it's just people are unaware of that. And they have the ability to become a better version of themselves. They have the ability to keep growing, keep learning. A lot of people think that they have it all together. They know everything already.
Yeah.
And no, we keep evolving and as human beings, and transformation is just a beautiful thing to do. And it's just depending on your perspective, really, how you view the world and how you view yourself. I had to do that. I had to change my whole entire perspective. But you have to be open-minded to do it. And you have to be willing to change and putting in the work within yourself.
Yeah.
People don't take time to look within themselves and ask themselves these important questions. That's why some people tend to get lost or don't know what they want from life, because they don't take the time for themselves. They look for outside resources to find themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And society I believe is a big fat lie. You can't really find truth with following other people.
Mm.
You need to follow your own spirit.
And I think with that being said, like, the idea of following what everybody else does, or the idea of looking at social media through a lens of comparing yourself to another individual is extremely destructive, especially in the society that we live in now. I believe that the society that we live in is a huge factor that takes a role in the way that you as an individual start developing. And so when you're surrounded by everybody else living their best life, or posting the best parts of their life on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, whatever, they don't post the negative things. And because we enjoy keeping those in the shadows. And with that being said, there's a lot of struggle in getting to where we've gotten, especially for yourself. And I don't like saying that I've struggled, because I've been humbled by those experiences, and I wouldn't view them as struggles. They're definitely something that I've took into consideration of applying discipline, because sometimes it's not just motivation that an individual needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw your YouTube videos, and they were interesting because they would talk about something so consistent throughout, like, my life, which was ego. I've never had an ego when I was younger, because I never had the confidence to even develop it. And so now I put myself on a pedestal of expecting myself to reach, like, really high expectations, and when I don't meet them, I beat myself up an extensive amount, and it becomes an issue after a while when you start bringing yourself down, and destructive cycle. But keeping a balance, as like what I've referred to prior to this podcast, I've referred to maintaining, like, a balance between having an ego and having nothing at all. And so something in the middle would be confidence. And I think that's something that I struggled with, and wondered what made you want to talk about ego in the first place, because it's obviously something that comes up in psychology, and it's a very interesting topic. And I think people can really learn like what ego is, and just how to identify it. And so, like, if you want to go off of that.
Well, actually, I'm right now currently working on the ego video where I just explained the what the ego is and how to find it and try to change it up a bit. But I could explain some things here. So the ego is basically a defense mechanism. It protects you from getting hurt. So let's say you get what's a word? Okay, let's say if you go to an interview, right? But you don't get the job. The ego is just gonna say things to make you feel better, because probably you really want that job, and it's somewhat affected you emotionally. And as humans, majority of it is men, but men are mostly conditioned to be strong, right? And being strong is not showing no vulnerability, no crying or anything, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where the ego is formed, through that belief. And the ego will say, oh, that job needed you anyways, you'll find a better one, things like that. And in reality, maybe you didn't get enough sleep last night. Maybe you didn't practice enough for it. And next time, you know not to make the same mistake, and you'll learn from it and improve in that. That's how the ego prevents us from growth and self-development.
That's a very sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's true, the whole idea of cutting the ego and understanding where people come from with criticisms or with obstacles in life. However, I enjoy playing devil's advocate, and so here's what I'll like, just to go against it. I think when it comes to when men are told, or me when I was younger, I was told it's okay to show emotions, and so I did. But I was a very emotional individual when I grew up. I didn't know how to control my anger. I didn't know how to, a time and place for emotions.
Yeah.
And for me now, it's like, what does it mean to be a man? What does that actually mean? Because people make it seem like if it's such a bad thing, I'm a heavy believer in being a strong man, because the alternative is being a bad man, and so you start getting into like this black and white, where not everything is black and white. There's always something gray. And I think the idea of being a good, strong man is obviously completely different than being a weak, bad man. And again, like, there's always the gray spots. And I don't mean to bring anybody down. I don't mean to, if there's a certain way that you want to live your life, it's fine by me. That's cool. But the way that I view life is a bit different than, like, what normal people usually view it. And again, I'm not saying I'm special. There's definitely something.
You are special.
Wow.
Everybody else is special.
Yeah. I can support that. I could see that you're unique, the same way that I'm unique, the same way that Brian's unique. I think I said it. No, I said it in my last podcast, but maybe I'll bring it up again. But this idea of being like a strong man has to do with what I think a strong man is. And again, if somebody wants to come on and tell me like otherwise, I'm more open to it, because then we can come into like a middle ground, and maybe we can create like the most perfect man. I think it has something to do with, yes, showing emotions, but doing it in a manner that's represented with time and place. So if I, as a person who wants to become a better man, I want to make sure that the relationships I have with people are healthy, that the people around me progress with me, and that me as an individual am able to distinct what is good for me, and possibly, if people are open to it, maybe they can benefit from something that I could claim is good for them. And again, it's just my perspective, and I don't like the idea of, pushing the idea, because I think that destroys relationships. And like number one thing is maintaining relationships. So, and I think when it comes to being told that it's okay to show emotions, people might interpret it wrong. Where I know a couple individuals, I'm not going to say any names, who show emotions consistently. And they're well-rounded individuals, but it's showing emotions instead of taking a step back to assess the situation and go at it in a manner that's actually beneficial for not just themselves, but for like everybody. And again, I struggle with this too. I'm imperfect. I don't put myself on a high pedestal. But being able to not just take everything as like face value, look into the evidence, look into what could be heard in different perspectives, has definitely helped me come up with this idea of what I want to reach as a man. And so if I were to do anything different, I'd pretty much just say to like former self, I don't think I would. I think I'm okay with where I'm at. If there's anything that you could do in the past, would you change anything at all?
I wouldn't, because every experience that I have ever been through really allowed me to know my personal power. It allowed me to, when there's so much chaos in the world and you can't deal with it, so you just put all the focus into yourself. That was basically my situation growing up. I was pretty a quiet kid. I would just observe people and just be in my own space. I was just detached from everybody else. But it didn't allow me to behave a certain way towards people. I always respected people growing up. So I wouldn't change anything from my past at all, because it's all for self-development. There's a reason why things happen, right?
Yeah.
And it happens because they're meant to teach you something. Well, they're lessons to me. But I believe, in every negative situation, there's always something in there positive that you could learn from, and use it to your own advantage. You can use it as guidance to help you in the future of the right decisions to make, the right choices for yourself. And that's why I really appreciate the negatives in life. And I don't really consider them as negatives, because it's always for self-development. And that's, like you say, black and white. There's always there's no light without dark, and there's no dark without light.
That's pretty solid. I think, although it may be mainstream, like the whole idea of light and dark, I think there's a lot of value behind things that are like consistently said, and that's one of them that I really appreciate. But the same way that you're able to see light to play devil's advocate to get you on your toes, I'm gonna say, if a room is dark enough and there's, let's say for example, like a person, he or she comes up, and let's say he's a light, right? That little light It may not be the best one out there, but at the time in the given situation, it could definitely seem brighter than what it would in a normal setting. So, for instance, if I like lit up a match right now, it would be pretty insignificant because there's like 2 LED lights. Mm-hmm. But if we were to go into a dark room, that light is the only source of light, which can be kind of misguiding. I think like being able to have healthy skepticism, and I've thought about it before, like just having healthy skepticism, question everything until you feel comfortable enough to make like a decision. Because I've been misguided. I've definitely been misguided. And I've definitely, just as being a person, definitely have like experienced some of the, like the difficulty things in life, as anyone else would. And I think there's definitely something to be like learned, especially when it comes to like phrases that we hear consistently. Like one of my favorite ones would be, what is it? I can't think of it. Obviously not my favorite one then. So I guess what I'm trying to allude to is what do you value more in life? Like what's your top priority when it comes to what you want to focus on?
Like for myself or for the world?
Ooh, that's a very... Me personally, I like to focus more on like my surrounding and myself. So I'll go with self. Like, what do you want to do to improve like yourself? What's something that you want to get done? What's something that you prioritize?
Well, the most important thing for me at the moment is just developing myself. Every day I'm growing. Every day there's always something new to learn. And that's really important, because the more things you learn, the more you're able to understand yourself, the more you're able to know what beliefs really what beliefs you really believe. Yeah, that's what I mean. And just that's really important for me. And just simply being more confident and having a lot more for a lot of self-love for myself, because I think that's really important, because how you treat others is how you view yourself. And that's really important to me, because my beliefs are I have a soul, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have a soul. Everybody else's have souls, right? And something must have created that. And you call him God, the creator, the universe. And we are all connected to one source. So that means we're all equal, and we all love each other. We should all respect each other. And those are the beliefs that I really stand by. And so that's why I have unconditional love towards everyone, and that's why I respect everyone. That's why I see everyone as equally as me. That's why I don't judge no one, because everyone has their own different stories. Everyone has gone through struggles, and it just sucks that I see people judging others just the way they look, how they dress, how much money they have, the culture they're in, or even how smart they are. That shouldn't dictate how much value someone is. We all have the same value.
I think that's a fair point. I think you're 100% right. But to be devil's advocate, I'm a heavy believer in like the economy and like capitalism. If there's like a scarcity of things, right? Like water, food, space, or energy. I think a conundrum that capitalism has, in which like it's viewed as unethical, is who is deserving of these resources. And I think that's a very overt flaw. That's something like, the economy has.
Yeah.
Because it's very unethical, and it is. It truly is.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if someone knows a lot more knowledge about, let's say a house.
Mm-hmm.
That guy will basically have more value to him because he knows a lot about houses. He's studied them. He's educated. He's been to school. And yeah, I completely understand that. But it doesn't mean you should treat someone else different just because they don't have those same qualities as somebody else.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I guess that something didn't connect in my brain. You're talking more like how you should treat people.
Yes.
I think you're 100% right. Yeah, okay. So I actually like remembering that I was volunteering. I'm not sure how long ago this was, but it was at a religious place, and it was beautiful because we're helping people who were misfortuned to have, adversities, bring them to a very low like position, and something that they would call each other, like to say, hey man, or hey, come over here, or thank you, I appreciate it. Like they would, like the same way that I would say hey guy, hey girl, whatever, they would call each other brothers and sisters. And I thought that was like, and I asked, like, why do you guys call yourselves, why do you call each other brothers and sisters? Because again, it was just like a different perspective. And when people know me, they sometimes hear that I call them brother or sister.
Yeah.
And I definitely picked that up because of that one experience. And I learned an excessive amount because of that experience. So
What did they say to you?
They were just like, oh, so my bad. They told me that the reason that we call each other brothers and sisters is because we're all connected as siblings. We're all viewed to be equal. We the same way that you would treat your normal brothers and sisters, because blood runs thicker than water. You should be able to treat everybody else as your brothers and sisters, and that really resonated with me. And so that's something that I do. And people call me weird for doing it, and I may not explain it to them because I've, quick, it's like, oh, what's up, brother? Hey, what's up, sister?
I like it though.
Yeah, and it's like
it's like a deeper meaning to it.
Yeah,
when you're able to call someone that.
Yeah, and it makes me more approachable as a person, and that's something that I really enjoy. If somebody can't come up to me to talk about anything, then I failed as a person. So that's why I've definitely tried to smile more, have better posture, look cleaner, except for my podcasts, because that was all last minute.
Yeah.
And so that's where that comes from. When I say brother or sister, because that's what I genuinely believe in, and so I think that's something that we agree with.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the reason that we're like.
We get along well.
We get along well.
Similar
ideologies and concepts and perspectives,
yeah.
But I think we should also disagree. We disagree sometimes, and that's what honestly allows us to give different perspectives. And I think that's the whole reason why I started this podcast, is so that we can share different points of views.
Yeah, and it just widens our perspective a lot more, and we have different options to choose from.
Although we may want to bring people in, what is something that would cause you not to let someone in? Because it's a beautiful message of treating everybody with respect when you first meet them, but over time you kind of start deteriorating that trust. And so what's something that you usually look for or start noticing, and you're like, okay, buddy, gotta back off, or it's gonna be some issues?
Yeah. The only way to know what you're willing to accept from people and what you're not is by having boundaries. So I developed boundaries over the time.
over the time.
Yeah. So I have boundaries, And when people cross those boundaries, I cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I give people chances, 2 chances, because the first chance I will warn them, and if they do it the second time, they didn't listen to me, and they still did it again. So that's already a sign for me that whatever I tell them, they're not gonna listen, and they're gonna continue doing the same action, and that's when I cut them out.
Do you maybe want to bring the mic a fist from your face?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you
But did it get it?
Yeah, it did.
Oh.
You just went off on it. Ooh, that was good. That was good. Passion. I think it's a very valid point of just giving like second chances, and from then on forth. Because for me, then just like hearing the way that you came off with it, you obviously have something structured, and you've thought about this for a very long time. Long time. Yeah.
I had to be alone though. You know, the only way to get to form these boundaries is just to really figure out how many people you let step all over you. And why did you let that happen? What kind of beliefs do you have that allow people to treat you that way? And I had to change those beliefs, because those beliefs weren't serving me, because I was getting hurt emotionally every time. And I think the only way to dictate when a belief is wrong is when you keep getting hurt, when you keep letting these people hurt you. And that's when you really need to be aware of that and make those changes for yourself, and have more self-respect.
And I've definitely learned a lot from you from over the years. I think earlier you asked, every time you come over, you ask me, am I a little different? And I think you asked that because you want to see how much more you've progressed. Because we do sometimes, I'd be like, hey, Nicole, do you want to hang out? Or hey, Nicole, do you want to come do a podcast? Yeah. And you asked me that, and I was like, oh, that caused me to think Nicole is definitely trying to develop more as an individual. And I think that's important for us as, young adults to work on ourselves as individuals and let out some of the outside forces, which kind of sucks for me because I enjoy investing in the stock market, and I kind of have to listen to the dogs barking and pick this up and pick that up, and if I wanted to, I can cut some of that out, but then I start losing opportunities. So it's like the idea of setting those boundaries up to work on yourself on an individual level comes from literally just being alone. But how long do you think there's like any dangers with just being by yourself?
I mean, that's depending on your mentality. If you have a negative mentality, then you tend to be suicidal at times. like if you're alone and you have a negative mentality and you're really pessimistic about the world and how you view your own reality, but that's just depending on how you grew up. If you come from like a dysfunctional family or toxic family, you tend to think negative and treat others how you were conditioned to become. And that's why I did the videos in the first place, so people could know how your environment could influence you. And that's depending on your environment. It can influence you in a positive or negative way depending on what's going on around you all the time, because what you focus on will grow. And our environment is something we're always in, what we focus on all the time. And that's depending on the people you hang out with, what you watch, what you read, what you see all the time, what you do for yourself, what you even eat.
Yeah, that's well. Yeah. I'm a heavy advocate of like just watching what you eat. One of my favorite things that I had a coach back in high school. I was a wrestling coach, and one thing that he told me was, if you eat like crap, you're gonna feel like crap. And that stuck with me. When he said that, I was like, whoa, that's some pretty good advice. So I started looking into it, and then there's another man who also does podcasts. His name is Joe Rogan. He gets into it, and just like this wide range of information of what you eat truly affects the way you function as an individual, which is the reason that I take omega-3 now to help like stimulate my mind and to help stimulate like my muscles, my mind to muscle connection, like because I enjoy going to the gym. And I think going to what you said about being on your own and working on yourself, it's true. It all starts in your own house, which is why I try my absolute hardest. I will make sure of it by the end of the day that my room is clean. You know, I have my setup in here, but this is going to all be clean, and it's all going to have very minimal things. I'm a person who's kind of a minimalist, where I only believe that what is valuable are non-materialistic things, which is why I only have a desk, a bed, a single drawer, and the clothes that I hang up in my closet. And when it comes to fixing what's important to you and starting at your own house is important. I learned this from another mentor. We were sitting at a table, and she was like somebody who came in to tell us how she got to where she is, what she takes as prioritization, and I picked that up from her. It's just picking up small things from like people over time. And she said the way that you are at home is going to dictate how you are in the workforce, how you are in the workplace, how you are interacting with other individuals that isn't your family. So if you're consistently having like arguments with your brothers or sisters, or having very negative, like a very negative environment, it's true. You start projecting that onto the outside world. And again, I'm not perfect. We all have flaws. And I've definitely been an individual who's portrayed negative interactions with people. And I definitely try my best to own up to them. If I say something rude, or if I say something that would bother another individual, I would go out of my way to apologize. Because that's like the best way to get out of your ego.
Yeah.
Just simply apologizing, reconnecting with other individuals.
Just accepting the fact that what you did was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you went against your own beliefs. And you were able to realize that, and you took responsibility of it, and like a man, you went and apologized.
And it takes a lot out of a person who's prideful, who has ego, to literally go out of his way and apologize. And I take that to a very high standard. I enjoy the idea of taking responsibility of things, and I obviously have some regrets when I didn't take responsibility. And had I acted differently in retrospect, I probably would be a bit happier now. But I'm okay with the decisions that I've made.
Yeah, I guess it's just depending how confident you are. If you're really confident, you're gonna take responsibility for your own actions. And some people lack confidence.
Yeah.
And do you know why?
Why people lack in confidence?
Yeah.
I think the reason that people may lack confidence, and this is just my perspective, I wouldn't say that I've done research, but I've definitely done a little bit of investigating on my own. I think the reason people may lack confidence is simply their view of themselves on the individual level and on the societal norms. So if I view myself as a bad individual, I will slowly start developing bad individual traits, because it starts going with, if you consistently tell yourself you're something, you'll eventually get into it. You'll eventually start molding yourself to have these bad characteristics, which then leads to simply just having low confidence, causing you to start looking for other ways to show that you are confident, while in fact you really aren't. And I think it definitely arrives from not loving yourself, which is something that you've taught me, and I appreciate you for that. Because when you asked me that, I was like, what does she mean by that? I really had no idea what you meant. And then I started looking into it, and I started developing myself as an individual. I started losing more weight. I started getting my finances. Well, this is like a bit prior to that, but like I started working more on like my emotional intelligence. But something that I had been working on before was like financial, physical, because I wasn't happy where I was at physical. And I think having low confidence, but starting to realize what causes it is going to push you to change that, because at some point you have to take responsibility for what you want to happen. So if you want to lose weight, you got to get after it. If you want to have a better credit score, you got to go out of your way to learn all this stuff. Yeah. People like to say, oh, my parents didn't teach me about credit. Oh, my parents didn't teach me about finances. Do it yourself.
Learn about
you
it.
have the internet.
There's different resources.
There is. And so I'm currently getting my second credit card, and it's definitely a push in the right direction. Once you start taking responsibility for your own actions, for your own future, instead of sitting back and blaming the rest of the world.
Complaining too. There's a lot of people complaining about their lives, how, it's not how they want it to be. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to completely change your reality. Mm-hmm. That's how much power we all have. But that's up to you if you're willing to put in the work. People want everything in their hands. Instantly. Yeah.
And that's where instant gratification starts coming in. Yeah. What looks easy to do? Nothing is easy, dog.
And that's limiting themselves. Is limiting beliefs. I stopped limiting myself a long time ago, because I know that I'm capable of more, and I know those beliefs just are beliefs from my childhood. Being a little kid that would struggle reading in school. People thought I was dumb, and they would judge me all the time.
And when you're consistently told that, you're like, damn, what if it's true? But then you have to go out of your way to do something different. I was told all my life that I was a fat kid. Yeah. And so I changed that.
And you probably had confidence issues too.
Yeah, definitely did. And it limited me in being able to focus on what I eventually found important. So for me, right now, what I find important is physical health and financial health. Those are my two priorities at the moment. I hope to do more, physical and financial health are my main goals. But I also want to maintain relationships, physical, mental, emotional, and my social life. Those are the 4 things that I find, prioritize.
You always told me that too.
Those four to me are powerful. Yeah. But it's definitely going out of your way to say, what do I want? Yeah. What do I as an individual legitimately want? And why am I being limited? And so sometimes you have to start chipping away at what's influencing you. And a big source of that is social media. Yeah. I think there's a hyper influence of what the world actually is in comparison to what social media projects. So there's this idea of, if you were to see somebody's Instagram and all they post is, I was referring to it earlier, if all they post is positive things, that yada yada, you're not meant to compare yourself to that, because that's what causes a lot of low confidence issues. When I see big buff dudes on Instagram or whatever, or I see them when I watch my YouTube videos, it's man, that's, I'm gonna get there. It's either, there's 2 ways of going at it. I'm gonna get there, or I will never get there.
And that's because of low confidence.
And in addition,
and I think so that's where jealousy comes from as well. Yeah. You're mostly jealous because of somebody having what you want. Mm-hmm. But it's just lack of confidence and lack of motivation to get what you want. Mm-hmm. Instead of being jealous of somebody for having the things that you want, then go out and work for it. Mm-hmm. And I think most people won't.
Yeah. And I think it's true, 100%. But to play devil's advocate again, and I've thought about this, the 2 things. I
like the movie.
Which one?
Devil's Advocate.
It's an actual movie?
Yes. Have you seen it?
I have not. What is it about?
Well, it's basically a devil's son being a lawyer.
What? Okay. Already sounds interesting.
Yeah, and he wins every cases, even when his the people that he's defending are guilty.
And he's just really good at his job. Yeah. Do you know who Ted Bundy is?
Ted Bundy? Yeah.
So he was just a small explanation. He was a serial killer. I don't know how many years ago it was, but he was very notorious for being attractive, being intelligent, and being persuasive. And he pretty much defended himself in court after, there's a prosecutor who was giving evidence and information about what he has done, but he was able to defend himself. And that's just what that reminded me of. Devil's Advocate, the lawyers and stuff. And Ted Bundy was
on Netflix. You totally watch it.
I don't have Netflix.
Oh.
I don't.
Does Bryant have Netflix?
I'm not gonna. So, I'm very cheap.
It's only $8 a month.
That's too much. I can throw that into investing. I almost didn't see your phone. It matched with the.
Oh yeah. I came prepared.
So, going back to what we're saying, I believe that motivation and what was the other one? Well, we'll touch upon motivation. You said that sometimes you have to stay motivated to get to things, right? I don't think motivation is like the fundamental of what causes people to go do things. It's definitely something that initiates, like it starts the flame, but right after that, it starts coming down to like discipline. I've gone to the gym six days out of the week, every single day, for a year and a half now. And there were times when I really didn't want to go. There was this one night where I drank a Red Bull. No, I drank a Monster, like an energy drink. And I ate gas station sushi.
Oh my god. Was it good?
Oh, so good. It was so good. Gas station sushi. So I don't like paying for expensive things, but my favorite food is sushi. And that's like as expensive as you can go.
Yeah. So
I've tried making my own sushi at home. But at the time, I got the gas station sushi because I was running late because, hectic, trying to do things. My stomach did not feel very good. No. Upset stomach. Felt nauseous. It was that Monster and that sushi combining. Yeah. Definitely nauseous. I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to the gym today. And then I told myself, you're weak. Get your butt to the gym. What's the worst that happen? What's the worst that can happen? You throw up?
You're not dying.
You're not dying, exactly. So I went to the gym and I beat my sitting squat record. It used to be 350 pounds. I was able to do 475 pounds. And I was able to beat my record while feeling quote unquote nauseous because I set that excuse up even before I went to the gym. Yeah. And I learned from that. And there's a week, the only excuses that I ever come up with which are like legitimate that I won't go to the gym, is if I do a deadlift or a squat wrong and I mess up my back, so I have to like work on form, I have to take a minute to recover because I don't want to get injured in the future. And so that's the only time when I'm injured and when there's an emergency. If I'm sick, too bad. You gotta go. Get your ass up. Get up and go. Gas station sushi and an energy drink, it's not an excuse. Go over there. Go. Get. Yeah.
So you're saying that people tend to make a lot of excuses.
I think it's true, and I see it sadly, like in my vicinity of who I hang out with or with what I do, and it definitely comes down to staying disciplined and loving what you hate to do. But if that thing helps you, continue to do it. And for me, it was the gym, living a frugal life, not paying for Netflix, not paying for... the only thing that I pay for, subscription-wise, are two things. YouTube Red and my gym membership. That's it. Because I know if I start watching Netflix, or it used to be my addiction, like legitimate addiction, which would take hours from my day, was like playing video games.
Yeah, a lot of people have that addiction.
And I can see where they're coming from. It's there's like a whole science behind it. Like dopamine's being shot into your brain. You love it because it's instant gratification. You feel satisfied. It's so good. You just got some kills. Oh, nice, keep going. So many things start coming into play because it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it
makes you feel good. People
it really does. Yeah.
Tend to be obsessed with things that make them feel good. Like gambling, smoking, drugs, hanging out with friends, that's also can be an addiction.
And it could be, yeah.
If
and
you do it every day.
Yeah, seriously. And if you start spending, for me, it's like, I don't like spending money, but I see a lot of people throw money out like water, and I'm like, I'm not very attracted to that.
Yeah, or just like eating like junk food.
A lot like fast food restaurants. Yeah. So I'm very frugal and cheap, and that gives me so many advantages.
Yeah.
Because going out to eat is expensive.
Yes.
So I just cook at home. What are we having today? Eggs. I had eggs like for the past week. You're still having eggs.
Yeah, and healthy food tends to be really expensive.
You know, I've looked into it, and when you buy like, so you know how when you go to the store and you're given two different options when you look at vegetables, you know, for instance, natural and not natural, so like GMOs. There's no significant difference between the two when it comes down to nutrition. There has been analysis done. There have been meta-analysis done. There have been studies and research and all that, and nothing has come to the conclusion that there's anything different between the two. So sometimes, yeah, I might go for like the cheaper vegetables because it's all the same. There's no difference in nutritional value.
Yeah, you just have to wash them.
Yeah, because there's COVID.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that we're still in a pandemic, but it really doesn't feel like it.
I know. It's just the mask.
That's pretty much it.
It just makes a difference. That's about it.
And I think the masks are, to me, it's like whatever. I don't really care.
I think the mask has a deeper meaning to it, because we tend to wear masks ourselves. We tend to behave different in front of others, and then when we get home, we are our true selves. You know what I mean? We tend to hide our real selves in front of others, because sometimes we're scared of a judgment, people judging us. And me, for instance, I just simply don't care about that.
Can you bring the mic a little bit to you?
Oh, yeah.
I get it good.
Yeah, I just don't care about people judging me or the way I look, because I know that doesn't. I know it's not value. You know. I
think that you're 100% like spot on. It's like to what I agree with too. But there are some advantages to like acting different of when you would here, like in my house, and then at work.
Yeah, I get that too. I know what you mean. Like, you know, let's say you need to be a leader at work. You're gonna portray this facade, you know, that you're authoritative and you're needed to take seriously, and you have to listen to me because, you know, I know what you need to do. Yeah. Things like that. I understand that. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Like me,
it's just depending on like what environment you're in, or like let's say, you know, someone doesn't like you, right? Yeah. But you're not gonna disrespect them. You're just gonna be a little distant from them. You're not gonna interact with them a lot more. You know.
When I see someone who doesn't like me, I try to be their best friend. I annoy them until they give in. I'm like,
I don't try to get close.
You're gonna be my friend, buddy. Especially if it's at work. Because I need that person to trust me, especially at work, because we all have a certain goal to reach. But you know, if I don't have to, then I won't try my hardest. But I think everybody deserves something. But again, it's like given a reason to not like an individual. Yeah. So I think what's pretty cool about the position that we're in, you know, in our life is we have all this knowledge, and we're very ambitious and passionate about learning more to better ourselves, and we're doing this at a fairly young age, and that's our advantage. Not to say that people who are older can't start now, but no matter if you're doing it a second after us, you're still doing something that nobody else is doing currently. Yeah. So I think we're on a right track.
Yeah.
Who is texting?
Yeah, and I also want to encourage people to do the same, you know, because it could really change our whole entire world in general. You know, if of course not everyone is gonna have the same beliefs, but at least if they're quite similar, then there's something to so you could resonate with. You know, and it could influence other people to do the same. You know, and we're influencing that, and the people that are watching this are gonna get influenced, and they're gonna want to make changes within themselves as well. And then that will probably influence other people around them.
And I really hope that that's the case. And that's like what us as individuals, like that's how we genuinely feel. We want to not simply just better ourselves, but if we could bring anybody else up with us, we'll definitely put in the effort, you know, to do so.
And that, you know, that could bring a lot of positive change in the world. That's really important to me, because I see a lot of things that I don't like in this world, and I'm trying to become the version of what I want the world to be. You know, I walk it and I talk it.
That's a valid point. Yeah. I feel the same way. I think there's a lot of negativity in this world. And one of my favorite quotes, I'm not sure who exactly said it. I think he was a philosopher. This world...
I love philosophy.
Philosophy?
Yeah.
This world is cruel and wicked, but it only punishes the weak. And I think it's a very powerful quote, because if you're not able to deal with adversities and obstacles well, then you're going to have difficulty progressing as an individual. One time I was laying in bed, and I was dealing with some like personal issue, whatever it is. I shedded a tear. And I wasn't thinking about myself.
Just one?
It honestly was one. It was a single tear. And it came out because I was thinking, me as a person, I'm pretty strong when it comes to dealing with obstacles and adversities, and I'm able to learn from it. And I'm confident within what I'm saying. And what caused that tear to come out is there are people out there who don't know how to deal with things like that.
Yeah.
And it bothered me, because those are the type of people that go down a very dark and wicked spiral of despair.
Yeah.
Which causes them and forces them to do certain decisions that are frowned upon by society, that are frowned upon by the community, and it's very destructive, because when weak individuals aren't able to assess and move on from obstacles and adversities with ambition, passion, and positivity, a lot of destruction comes from there.
Yeah.
It's a very destructive, reoccurring cycle. It's until you take responsibility for the situation that you're in, or for you to find out and figure out, how am I gonna move on from this position.
Yeah. Some people just need a little help, a little push, a little guidance, and I'm willing to give that. You know, and you're willing to give that as well, because I believe that we have a strong personality. You know, we have strong morals, beliefs, and a lot of people lack those beliefs, because they simply don't look at what's really important for them. You know, that's why I take taking time for yourself, learning about yourself, getting to know yourself. It's really important, because it allows you to build up character, and it allows you to become this strong personality, and you're able to go through any challenge in life because of that.
What's like one situation, if you don't mind saying it, like if there's like one blaring situation that you had to deal with that like finally shifted your mentality of wanting to be able to face any adversity in a very elegant and positive manner. Like I'll give you, like, for myself, I was offered a position at where I work, and this position sounded, like the benefits were very, very dope. They were. It was a position to be a supervisor, a construction supervisor, in my own little department, and I was very excited. I was like, "Oh, I can get that job. I can do this. I can do that." And I started thinking about like all the possibilities.
Be in control.
I'm being in control. I'm going to finally show what I'm capable of. Took about 2 weeks before I found out that they went with somebody else. But the issue that arose from it wasn't simply that, I was told that there was a possibility. It sounded as though it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that strictly misguided me. And I was very excited, and I was ready to do what I had to do. And it was tough on me simply because
you had high hopes.
And yeah, it was hope. It was hopeless thinking. It was mindless thinking that something good was going to happen. And I never want to be in a position like that again. And this is like a very, very like light situation, but it was like fairly devastating at the moment, because a position like that would have opened a lot of opportunities. But this is only like something fairly mild, and it changed my perspective that I do not want to leave me progressing as an individual to be left as a decision for somebody else to decide. I want to be able to continue what I intended to do, to continue what I was already working on. And so starting up the podcast was one of them. And it took me a while, because I was still figuring out what are my next moves within a range of 10 years. And just recently, like, we kind of undervalue what we're able to do within 10 years, and we overvalue what we could do within a week. If you set yourself to a high expectation of, I am, like, just as a goal, I'm going to make 100,000 bananas in a week. Can you maybe expand that to 10 years? So I'm very thoughtful of what I want to do in 10 years. And I don't think people take that into consideration that much. And I think it's something that us as individuals can definitely pick up from. And that's what caused me, like that specific situation, caused me to start thinking more long term than instant.
So are you grateful that that experience happened to you?
Honestly, truly am. Because I don't want to continue working there. It's opened my eyes to not wanting to work a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to continue doing what I do until I become more stable on my own. But it's also like taking a step back and viewing what reality actually is, and being able to implement hard work, discipline, staying motivated, and applying those different factors, and being able to achieve what I legitimately want to go for.
Mm-hmm. And in a way, you, a sense, developed your self-worth through there, because you realize you don't deserve to get paid that much for that position. That allowed you to invest in other things that could make you financially free. And and I think that's why some people tend to stay in jobs that just pay them less. Yeah,
cushy, comfortable, because it's all about being comfortable.
Yeah. And with me, I want to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I want to, if I'm too comfortable, I need to change something up. I'm not just going to stay in a place because it feels comfortable to me. And that's how I challenge myself a lot. I love doing that because it's really testing me. And I like a test because I'm always passing.
But if you're always passing, how are you learning? You gotta fail sometimes.
I know, yes. Yes. But I pass because I learn.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's okay, fair enough. And that's exactly what I did to my room. I made my room uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Simply just a bed and a desk and my single drawer. It used to be completely different. Yeah. I try not spending a lot of time in here on my bed. I spend it at my desk. I brought in the desk to give it more business like.
Yeah, I actually really like it. I want to get a desk like that too.
It's a nice desk. That's why I don't have my TV in here anymore.
Yeah, done watching TV.
I haven't watched TV in
Me either.
a long time.
I mostly just watch YouTube videos. You know.
Yeah, they're mostly just like educational, just like learning something new every day.
Like it's better than going to school. Because YouTube, it's just a sense of knowledge in there. It's just depending on who you listen to.
And I think there's a lot to be learned through certain sources, but you have to find them. For me, it's like financial and physical fitness. Do I want to go to college? I've considered it just to get my basic associate's degree, but it's not something that I want to focus too much on, just because I believe, and I've researched that going to college is just going to land me at another 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and absolutely. You just get paid more, but you're still basically working for somebody else.
I want to be able to work as many hours as I want and not having to stop just because it's already 5 p.m. I want to continue working after that. So that's the those are the goals and those are the ambitions.
Yeah.
Now to see what the fire and discipline
I'm really
comes
enjoying this talk so far, and
I think
I've been learning a lot from you just by being here for a couple hours.
I think we're reaching like I want to say an hour and a half. We'll probably start wrapping it up in a few, sadly, but I'll definitely want to bring you in another podcast in the future. Just to see how we're doing, and also
just how much we change,
how much we change, but also touch on more perspectives, because I know if we were to continue the podcast, it'd probably go for like 3 to 4 hours, maybe even more. It'd probably go for the whole day.
We just have a lot of things to talk about, and we have a lot of interests and disagreements as well, but then we add more to it, which I enjoy a lot. I love talking about these things because I believe it's important to talk about. And I just love expressing myself in general. It allows me to be more free, just to be myself.
That's kind of cool how you say that and you have like a butterfly tattoo. I like expressing myself, but I don't do it with like tattoos or piercings or with like those like gauges. Yeah, I don't do any of that. I'm very basic. I express myself by being basic. That's how I do it.
If you express yourself in a unique way, that's not basic.
But it is pretty basic.
What's basic to you then?
That's a fair, valid point. If I can explain everything that I do, I guess it's pretty unique, I guess. But the idea of being unique is kind of, to me, it's a little bit cringy. Just because I don't like to be extremely different. Whatever I'm doing, I don't care how I'm being perceived, as long as I'm being genuine about it.
Yeah, as long as you're being yourself. I think everybody else is unique because everybody else has a different viewpoint and different personalities. What makes you who you are is unique because there's nobody else like you in the world.
What do you think is going to happen when artificial people start being born?
Artificial people.
Like you're able to choose and dictate how that person is going to develop.
I mean,
so for me, like my parents are very short, but I came out to be like 6 foot, 6'1", and it's like how did that happen? And there's like a story behind it.
Genes.
I think it has something to do with the American diet, because like the way that what my parents ate back in Mexico is different than what I eat here. I think it has a lot to do with like milk. I freaking love milk.
Oh, me too.
I drink milk every day. I think that's the reason why it's been difficult for me to lose.
Hot chocolate? Oh, yeah.
I can't touch hot chocolate. I literally just drink white milk. It's like a treat, because the only other thing
that's basic.
Yeah, the only other thing I drink is like water, and there's water and our mineral water.
Yeah, I tend to only drink like water. I don't like drinking soda, juices, or any of that, because it's a lot of calories.
I do it because if you focus on what you eat, and if you become physically fit, the same way that I invest in the stock market. If you eat healthier, And if you do something physically active, you're kind of investing in your future medical bills so that they're cheaper.
I remember you were talking about that too last time. Yeah, that too. I like it because you think really logically about that. You know, you think about how can it affect you in the future.
Yeah.
Which I think like that too. And even in, you know, it's a part of just self-love as well, you know, making sure you're healthy, getting
the relationships that you keep.
Yeah,
because that's also long term.
Yeah,
everything is long term.
Yes. So that's why you need to be aware of who you're willing to let in your life. You know, me, I don't just let anybody in. You know, they have to prove to me that they're worthy to be in my life, because I'm a loyal person. You know, I know that I could influence everybody in my life in a positive way, and I need other people that could influence me in a positive way too. You know, I need other people that are a reflection of who I am. You know, they don't have to have the same beliefs, but they just have to influence me in a positive way, you know, and vice versa. You know, if I want people to influence me in a positive way, then I need to align my actions to that. I need to be the person to influence people in a positive way. You get what I'm saying?
That's a very fair point. I think as long as you keep, I think it makes you a little gassy. I think as long as you keep what you do in a very genuine light, I don't think you'll be in a rough or bad position in the future.
Yeah.
And so, and I think the reason I think a lot in the future is simply because when we first graduated, my first thing was, okay, what should I do? Because I never did any of the future planning. Do I want to go to college?
Oh my God.
Do I want to go to this? But I did have something very basic, was which career am I considering? And so I took one to my heart. And that one distinction of choosing what I wanted to do, just one decision, led me to a path to start making more decisions. I got into wrestling. I became more physically fit. I started learning how to become a strong male leader. And I may not be the best, but I'm trying every day to become better than what I was yesterday. Because I didn't start from the best position, but that's not going to stop me from get to the position that I want to be in the future. If that made sense. I think grammatical errors in there. But anyways, it comes down to, what are you passionate about? And for me, it was definitely wanting to help the people around me, wanting to help my community, but also maintaining my independence within maintaining and keeping my own responsibilities. And that's led me to a lot of late night thinking, decision making, and very interesting conversations with myself. And it's just being by yourself.
Yeah.
But also bringing those thoughts to other people and asking them for their opinions. Because the best way to develop is being able to take criticism. Yes. In younger and sometimes even now, I don't take criticism very well. But it's something that I'm consistently working on. And I'm able to admit that, because I'm confident that I will get to a point where I'm able to take in criticism. It's something Shaq O'Neal even said. What is this? Shaq O'Neal? Shaq, our boy Shaq. He said that the best people in your life are going to be the people that criticize you and wanting the best for you. So his main criticizers was his mom. He knows that his mom wants the best for him, so whenever he heard any criticism from her, he'd obviously be a little prideful, but he'd consider it, take it in, and then go out there.
Yeah. Me, I could take criticism, because criticism allows me to point out flaws within myself that I need to work on. You know, I would actually benefit a lot more from criticism, because people do point out different things that probably you're projecting onto them, and it doesn't make them feel good about themselves. Like, let's say you're having a debate with someone, but yet you raise your voice and you think you're right, and right, they point out that, and they tell you, you know what, like, I don't like it, it makes me feel this way. And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't mean to. That's something I need to work on a lot more.
And I was in a position like that before, where I'd get into a debate, and I'd take a step back and be like, okay, I'm trying to find a legitimate solution. What are you trying to do? And I feel like a lot of what you see in mainstream media is, I got you. You're dumb. I got you. Ooh, look at this dude.
Especially like wrestlers.
What do you mean by
not wrestlers?
The WWE?
No, boxing. That's what I mean. Like, what's his name?
George Floyd.
No. There's like YouTubers fighting.
Oh.
I forgot. Jake Paul. Like, oh my God, he's one of like the main examples of that. They just bash each other with words and things like that. I'm like, what is that gonna do? People just come here to watch you guys fight. Okay. But yeah, like, I don't see the point in trying to put somebody else down and try to prove to them that you can beat them, or but
yeah, I don't
yeah,
I may do my research when it comes to things, but I'm not trying to say, oh, you're dumb, or oh, you're a bad person because you believe this way. No, I think people are entitled to their opinions, but it's just when you start coming at me that way, I'm gonna take a step back, I'm gonna lower my voice, and I'm like, so what's the legitimate issue, and what is the actual solution? Because the only other alternative is complaining.
Because you're basically triggering their own beliefs, because when you trigger somebody else's beliefs, they tend to react to it. That's why I think before I react to things, because sometimes I can get triggered, but I'm like, okay, I'm triggered, but I'm not going to react to that. I'm just gonna continue saying my opinion and why. To me, if you could explain your opinions a lot more clearly, where people could understand and get where you're coming from and agree with you, then that's the thing I mostly lean on. Just have more knowledge of your own opinion, instead of not having things to back you up, and you react to it and get louder.
And I think, like, sometimes that causes jumping to the conclusion.
Yeah.
And I think that's also dangerous, like, with, like, relationships and conversations. Because if you're jumping to conclusions and you don't know the entirety of the facts of the situation, it can start leading to very impulsive decision-making. And decisions that end up becoming a backlash later. So, like, just like, if you were to catch someone cheating, but you don't know, like, the entirety of the facts, sometimes people have a tendency of committing manslaughter, and like, oh my God, I got you.
Kill you.
And it's like it's a crime of passion. I think that's what it's called.
That's when they react to their emotions.
And if it doesn't, and if it's not actually that, you're going to regret that decision in the future, and you're like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, and then they don't even think logically before they do it. I'm like, you kill this person, you're going to jail.
Yeah, there's no questions asked. Well, yeah. And so, me growing up, and around high school, I was an emotional person. I would make decisions based off of impulse, and I viewed that as negative, being emotional. But then I started viewing what's the alternative, and it's being logical, waiting back, take a step back, assess the situation, and then make a decision. But I always viewed being emotional to be a very negative thing. And so I started realizing that me being an emotional person gives me some certain advantages. Makes me more motivated. It makes me more passionate. And it makes me have a different perspective on life than someone who's mostly logical.
Yeah.
And I could take those advantages and I could apply it to what I am now. I'm a mixture between emotional and logical.
Me too.
Yeah. And so,
because it's good to have emotions.
It's all a balance,
yeah,
honestly.
And you're able to have empathy for others, but you also have limitations for people, and that's what allows people to respect you more, to honor you a lot more. You could love someone, but the way they behave is probably not what you accept, right? So you love them, but I need to distance myself from you, because that's something I'm not willing to accept. So I tend to use my head over my heart a lot, because of my self-worth, how I want to get treated. And I might have, hurt a couple people because of that, but at the end of the day, you die alone and you're born alone too.
It's true, yeah.
And I'm doing it for myself. Sometimes if you're really an empathetic, caring person, sometimes you do have to be selfish.
It's just finding that balance. And I've referred to it prior. You have to find that balance. You can get angry, or you cannot do anything at all. The other alternative to those two decisions is finding what's in the middle, acting on it, and assessing, and discovering the situation to make those decisions.
Yeah.
You can not do anything at all, or do something very stupid.
Yeah. I tend to try to find a solution for it. What would benefit me and what would benefit the other person. And what are the words to say in order for this situation to become better than how it is. And that's just the way I think, because I do love peace, and any person that I have ever had conflict with, I always try to bring peace into it. I don't got nothing towards you, and if you still do, then that's not my fault, but I forgave you, and now it's time to move on.
And now it's time to see whether it was the right decision to do so, or eventually find out that it wasn't. And then you can make another decision down the road.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will deal with that every single day. But if your main goal is to bring that other person down, then you're coming from a very negative and dark place of your heart.
You're basically playing victim. When someone hurts you, you react to your emotions, right? And when you react to your emotions when somebody hurts you, you feel pain, and you start playing the victim. And the only person to blame is that person, because he's causing that pain within you, right? So that's why when we react to our emotions, we tend to blame whoever's causing it. And that's why I don't react to anything anymore. I just observe, think of what I need to say, and just having that mentality really helps me out in difficult situations, and also decision making as well.
I'm gonna have to say that on occasions I will always go to that to be my base,
to be calm.
to go straight to being calm, assess the situation, and move on. But there are times in which I do give into those impulsive decisions to say something back or to act a certain way. And when that does happen, I stay there and I think, did I just give into my emotion? Especially when it, something I've considered it, when you're driving, people may cut you off.
Yeah.
I personally, when it happens to me, I treat that situation the same way that I would treat, having an argument. Let it happen. It's not a big deal. Cut me off. It's okay. I'm not going to risk my life or their life or anybody else around me's life simply because I want to try to get revenge, or simply because I want to come up and flip them off. I've never done that. I've never have had road rage. I said that weird. I've never had road rage, and it's I think that's why one of the best drivers out here in Vegas. Just saying.
That's your ego talking.
That's definitely my ego.
But it's a healthy ego. You could develop a healthy ego, and I think you have a good healthy ego.
I mean, ego is definitely something that's helped me go to the gym every single day. Mm-hmm. There are certain things in which ego is beneficial, but at times it's not. And again, it's always finding that balance. Having an ego that makes you go out to go start a business idea, to go out to go do anything that could benefit you in the long term. Mm-hmm. Ego is important, but when your ego starts affecting your relationships, then there's definitely some time to bring it back and reassess what you're actually gonna do next.
Absolutely agree with that. I just had one question for you. So what do you mainly base off your self-worth? You know, a lot of people, well, in my perspective, I think a lot of people don't really know their self-worth as to why they're placed in certain situations that affect them emotionally, mentally, or even physically. And I just wanted to see if you know your self-worth and what do you base it off?
I guess I haven't thought about what my worth is, as because I enjoy the idea of being equal with other individuals. As to what I base my worth on, I guess on the financial aspect, I view myself as adequate. I'm on the right path with it. On my physical, like self-worth, I have things I can work on. I want to continue losing more weight. From where I started, I've definitely have had a very, I've definitely started reaching my expectations and my goals. But to say my own self-worth as an entirety, or what I value my worth at, if I were to say like on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say an 8, because I'm not perfect and there's always those imperfections with people, and I expect to fill those positions down the line, because there are certain things that I haven't reached, because I know that on a very humbling statement, or the attempt to be humble, there's so much more room to learn and grow in. And so when it comes to maybe like dumbing it down to say through a number of 1 to 10, I would rate myself an 8. Mm-hmm. One reoccurring factor is how confident of an individual are you? And if you rank yourself as a 10 out of 10, then you're exceptional. You're probably in like your 60s or your 50s, and you're probably physically well, mentally well, financially well, socially well, and mentally well. Mm-hmm. And so if you're to rate your 10 out of 10 at a very young age, I'm going to take a step back and consider why you may consider yourself a 10 out of 10.
Well, with me, I consider myself as 10 out of 10.
Of course,
and the reason to that is not ego or anything, because I took the time to get to know my worth. And what I base my worth on is how I treat people and who I am as a person. You know, like I said, how you treat people is how you view yourself. I love myself, I treat people with love. I respect myself, I respect others.
Oh, okay. So so I see your point where you're coming from. I guess I was viewing it on where am I where am I with my goals, with what I value.
Yeah. That's why people tend to get kind of like confused of what self-love is, what self-worth, and also just who I am. If I'm able to influence someone in a positive way, then that's high value. A lot of people nowadays like to put down others, criticize others, be jealous of others. And I personally don't do that. And that's something that is rare to me, because not a lot of people are like that. And I hold myself at high value. It's just, if you're able to give stability to someone, give them guidance, motivate them, form a build with someone, form a family with someone. If you're willing to give that to someone, then you should hold yourself at high value.
So I guess if you were to talk about relationships and like the way that you interact with people,
Mm-hmm.
then I would say a 10 out of 10, because
Yeah.
I've definitely have gone out of my way, and I've definitely have sacrificed some things to help move people up. You know, I can list off names or whatever, but I wouldn't want to. There are people that I've helped who've surpassed me in certain aspects, which I love them for doing so. And then there are also people that I've treated with respect, or I've gone out of my way to start a conversation with, or I've legitimately have gone out of my way to send them any form of, there's somebody out there that cares, and that person is me. And if that's not enough, that's okay. I wish you the best. I genuinely don't come anywhere negative in my life. I've never gone out of my way to sabotage anybody. I've never gone out of my way out of jealousy, out of hatred. I dislike the idea of having hate within myself. So I've never said anything extremely hateful or hateful, and haven't gone out of my way to make amends with it and to fix that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I own up to every decision that I own up to any failure or decision that I make that may have not come from a genuine part of my heart, because again, we're all imperfect. And I think if that's like the form of value, then I would strongly say a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, because when you say that, I'm like, you sure? Because you've been telling me like how you treat people, your views and values, and that allowed me to see that you are a man of high worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you do get a woman one day or new friends, they should treat you with respect and love and care, and you shouldn't accept anything less than that.
I appreciate that.
You know, and that's the beliefs I have within myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't accept anything less than who I am. You know, I will want something that aligns with me, and that goes with friends, families, and relationships. You know, I'll cut out anyone. I don't care if they're related, if I know them for a long time, or if I really love them.
And I think, like, as I was saying some things, what I was saying, I was processing some information in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, there are some times in which I was angry or I was saying something, but because I felt like I was wronged. And when assessing the situation, I was actually wronged. And I try really hard to go out of my way and give the other individual, like, benefit of the doubt. But when I'm wronged, and clearly am wronged, I'm going to do something about it, because I'm not one person to lie back and just, take crap from people,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not one of those people.
Yeah, me either.
And that's something that, like, you learn and I've learned over time, because we hold ourselves to a high standard. When I was offered the supervisor position, but then it didn't come to me, that's fine. This isn't where I want to be anyways.
Yeah, and it wasn't even probably what you were meant to do.
Definitely wasn't.
That's why some things don't work out for us, because it's not meant for us. And look where you are now.
Definitely way more ambitious to get started on not wanting to work my 9 to 5.
Yeah, so there's benefits to things not working out for you.
And that's something that I think a lot of people can learn from. Take those adversities, enjoy them, because there's only a few that end up deciding what your real life and ambitions are.
Yeah, it's truly a blessing.
I hate them, but you gotta love them. I love them so much, actually. All right, Nicole, I think this has to start getting wrapped up. I'm pretty sure we've reached 2 to 3 hours, and if I wanted to get this uploaded, I really appreciate you coming on. If you want to follow her on her YouTube channel, I'll leave a link to the bio. Nicole, it was really great to see you again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being here. It's actually an honor.
Oh yeah, you're the first person on here that's not Brian or my sister.
Yeah, and I truly see this channel growing a lot. You're really making a lot of progress, and I've seen you grown so much now, and you've completely changed. and I really like the person you're coming to be.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for having me here today.
I can say the exact same thing you just told me to you, but so.
Okay. And thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys for watching. This is my channel. She's trying to take it over.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole. Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, that was a good conversation. Good job. Good job, G.